I blame Ubisoft for part of the Wii U's failure. They really hyped Rayman Legends as a system seller for the Wii U, and what did they do? Delay it to coincide with the PlayStation and Xbox ports, which is a real shame because I really think that if they pushed it out earlier, the Wii U could have lived longer because this game was in every demo of the console. And this game is really, really good. The art style has a lovely hand-drawn-esque aesthetic to it, the music is lively and diverse, and I love this game's cartoony slapstick. What really makes it shine is the platforming. It very cleverly utilized the Wii U's touchscreen and motion controls to make it among the best you'll find. But at this point, I'm just beating around the bush because the music levels are the greatest thing ever. Yeah, okay, the rest of the game is well designed and fun and all that jazz, but don't tell me that most of you didn't get this just to play all the music levels. Blowing up a castle while synchronizing your movements to Black Betty or dodging mariachi bands to the Eye of the Tiger is a rare pleasure that can't be recreated. I want someone, somewhere, to make a game centered entirely around this concept and not have it be procedurally generated, as fun as Audio Surf and Audio Shield are. Just imagining a Rayman level to Dragon Force. Come on, you know you guys want it. Sort of an indie darling that we in the Countdown community hold in high regard, Dust: An Elysian Tale is fascinating. I mean, the framing device of I forgot who I am, but I'll save the world, I guess, is a little tired, but you wind up not caring. The art style, the gameplay, the characters, everything is breathtakingly excellent. Except the boss battles, most of them kinda suck. This is a Metroidvania-style side-scroller, originally released for the Xbox Live Arcade after winning the Microsoft Dream Build Play Challenge, and it deserved to win. Aside from the music, voice acting, and a little bit of the story, the whole game was made by one guy. One guy! I'm one guy and I can't even make my videos alone anymore. Not to mention all the aspiring game devs who are lucky enough to specialize in one of the many obscenely complicated tasks the field has to offer. How did he do it? In any case, I really like this game because the combat and exploration are just excellent. There's a good level of customization you get in the way you attack, so if you want to dart around the screen like a demented rabbit or just shoot columns of fire, you can do that, all the while giant white bubbles fill up the screen, and it's awesome! While the side quests leave a bit to be desired, exploring this world is a lot of fun, just to see the different cultures and areas that the game offers. A lot of internet voice actors got their big break with this game as well. Omadon, Lizzie Freeman, Eily Monty, Kira Buckland, Xander Mobus, Sean Chiplock. This game did a lot for so little, and the creator should be proud. People know I really enjoyed Just Cause 2 and its insistence on blowing up everything you see in the most extravagant and goofy way possible.
Red barrels, blow them up! Red gas stations, blow them up! Red apples, blow them up!
I was a little worried when the next installment came out because reports said that the loading times for Just Cause 3 were terrible, if you weren't on PC. So yeah, I had an absolute blast with Just Cause 3, and everything I loved about 2 was cranked up to 11. The weapons, the missions, the explosions, the goofy accents, everything just worked really, really well. As we all know, a sandbox game is only as fun as the method in which you get around in it, so the wingsuit was a genius idea. It's a little difficult to learn, but once you do, traveling the island becomes half the fun. The other half is deliberately crashing into mountainsides and killing yourself. The grappling hook gets a major upgrade, allowing you to tether and pull two things together. I hook you, and I hook you. Now kiss! Even some of the little things like showing the records of the most stuff blown up or the distance traveled in the wingsuit compared to others adds a lot to the experience. But I think the biggest highlight for people was the general news network and how they spun your liberation efforts into making the dictator look good and how forced and manic the announcer got.
Greetings, citizens. Curva Gemino Sud is gone. Just gone. And what do you know, that makes an even dozen carefully considered infrastructure improvements. Viva Medici!
Fake news has never been funnier. I'll see myself out. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Because the PS3 was ludicrously expensive and none of my friends ever had one, I unfortunately missed out on a lot of good game series, and that includes the Uncharted franchise. Recently, I binged through all 4 of them, and honestly, 4th one's the best. Yeah, I can understand why people love the second one the most, given when it was released, how much of an improvement it was over the first one, and how well it's aged is pretty impressive. But speaking as a person who just blazed through all 4, Thief's End really did everything right. All 4 of them have great and interesting platforming and puzzles, but the combat is smoothly sharpened to a fine point in the 4th installment. I'm usually not into cover systems because many of them do them poorly. Just look at the first one. But by the 4th installment, the level design allows for the most strategy and the arenas look less staged. The vehicle sections also progressively get better, especially that gorgeous safari level. I also loved how the story delved more into Drake as a character. Nolan North brings this goofy, magnetic charm to the role of the simultaneously lucky and unlucky Nathan Drake, so seeing more of what made him who he was is not unwelcome. Not only do we see his childhood and rambunctious years, but also his family history. No spoilers, but the ending really was just a perfect send-off. More media needs to show loving marriages like this where they just play Crash Bandicoot on the couch, let me tell ya.
Perfect.
By the way, foxes can't do this.
It's a bandicoot.
That doesn't look anything like a bandicoot.
Have you ever seen a bandicoot?
No, but I'm sure they don't wear sneakers.
I never got much into Blizzard games until much later in my gaming life. That includes the Diablo franchise, and Diablo 3 servers being impossible to get into at launch didn't help matters. One day I was looking for games to stream and saw that Diablo was free to play. Tried it out and it's so weird, but I actually found Diablo 3 very relaxing. Because the games only use 2 buttons and you don't have to hunch over your keyboard to get to the industry standard WASD, you can just lean back and click away. Oh yeah, there are buttons you can press, but rarely did the situation get dangerous enough for it, even on many of the higher difficulties. I loved the level of customization you could give to your character's skills and armor. Eventually, I figured if you just pump yourself full of life on hit, then you're basically untouchable. But being near invincible doesn't make the game boring. On the contrary, you still feel like you're accomplishing stuff. Not only is the story interesting, but having you unlock something new each time you level up so you can experiment with it is a very encouraging design choice. Also, managing your inventory, crafting and selling, crawling and exploring through dungeons, all to search for the perfect pants is something I never thought I'd enjoy. Or say for that matter. Though why a game like this doesn't have clear character creation in this day and age is beyond me. But if I had to be honest, I'd put Diablo 3 on a list of games I like to play when I retire. I think I just got a new countdown idea. Is it a game? Is it an anime? Who cares? ASURA'S Wrath was my kind of mindless romp, packed with all the testosterone-fueled craziness you'd expect from a game with Wrath in the title. Divided into roughly 20-minute chapters, much like an anime, as a game, ASURA'S Wrath is very simplistic. Button mash your enemies to death like they were stress toys, and then burst your way through to the next action-packed moment. ASURA'S Wrath's cutscenes feature a plethora of quick-time events, which are normally a plague upon modern games, but in this case I think they were used in a novel way. The game's QTEs sometimes involve button mashing, much like the combat system, which weirdly makes the whole package feel cohesive. Plus, the button prompts are much more common and therefore expected in ASURA'S Wrath. They also aren't blink and you'll miss it, and bungling one usually only impacts your score or a minor decrease in health, as opposed to a split-second insta-deaths that are so common with this trope. Even if these normally poor design choices bother me, though, I'd still be in love with this game's ridiculous scale. How many other games do you know where the first boss is so freaking huge that he could literally poke you to death? Or had a guy whose sword is so long that it briefly turns the earth into a kebab? Plain and simple, ASURA'S Wrath is textbook popcorn entertainment. And I bet you could conceivably munch on popcorn while playing this game one-handed. Give me a second, I want to try that.
Oops.
Far Cry 3 surpassed many gamers' expectation as a delusional, vicious, and moral-bending open-world game. You play as Jason, a normal brunette everyman, a lot of those in gaming aren't there, who, through drugs, temples, the Rakyat tribe, and pirates, slowly turns into a vicious, bloodthirsty monster. And it is awesome! There are levels and challenges, sorta, but since it's open world, you can choose when to embark on them or if you want to go a completely different direction for a little bit. Scouring the island to upgrade your equipment is a lot more fun than it sounds, especially when some poor unlucky bases happen to be in your way. Exploiting the environment and even the wildlife to sabotage your enemies is a surprising joy as you unleash sheer con on some fools. The world is stunning, the story is intricate, and...
I'm sorry, what did you say? What did you say? Did you want me to slice you open like I did your friend? Shut the f*** up!
Yeah, Vass kind of steals the show. From the first time you see this unstable pirate, you know he's going to be an amazingly fun antagonist.
Killed you once already. And it's not like I am crazy. It's okay. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
I wasn't able to play the Phoenix Wright games for the longest time. Dual Destinies was my first, and honestly, I think it's the best one. I understand that's absolutely sacrilegious to say in this particular fandom, but I have to object. Get it? Anyways, the charm of the Phoenix Wright series is playing as the hapless lawyer Phoenix Wright, coming across all these wacky characters and hijinks. Also, there's a whole bunch of death and exploration of the darkest parts of the human soul, but who cares about that when we can reference My Little Pony? By this point in the franchise, the localization and jokes have gotten much better, as do the intricate plots and cases. I also love the two new mechanics they added, Mood Matrix and Revisualization. The Mood Matrix is where you compare a person's emotions to their testimony, and it's a fun way to dig out more information. Revisualization is a feast for the eyes and ears, cleverly Sherlocking together all the loose ends in each plot in a visually spectacular way. Also, this is a bit of a meta joke, but I love how this game is rated M and still managed to drop fake swears. Gotta give them credit for committing to their tone. They're lighthearted and goofy, yet dark and emotional tone. Remember that last countdown where I said I wasn't a fan of the Fallout series because it looked butt ugly and the gameplay wasn't stellar, but that I also said I'd be willing to try out Fallout 4? Good news!
Let's go, boy.
I really liked Fallout 4. This was a much improved experience for me. The visuals, while it does have its grays and browns, are mixed in with some actual colors this time. The facial animations are also leagues better than the unnerving robots of Bethesda's past. The combat is a vast improvement, particularly the VATS limb targeting. While it makes the game a bit harder, allowing the enemies to move slowly during it doesn't break immersion. I also love the ability to play the way I want, whether it be sniping people with carefully placed shots using a meticulously optimized sniper rifle, or just running up to them and Saitamaing their heads off with a glove I took off some super mutants. Also, Fallout 4 does what every open world game should do, gives you incentive to explore. I wanted to see the different cultures this game created. I wanted to see the stories of what made these hostile places hostile. I wanted to see how time and destruction affected these areas, particularly the place we lived before the nukes got dropped. I never got that in the previous games. Personally, I never got into the building crafting, but I watched my brother spend hours doing it, so if he had fun, it must be doing something right. If I had one complaint, it's how the game forces you to portray people under the guise of being morally challenging. I hate when games do that. There are obvious and simple solutions that don't involve stabbing people in the back. Everyone seems to play Smash Bros for their own reasons. For me, beyond the hangouts with friends on the couch, mastering competitive techniques, and pontificating over which is the most worthy game in the series, I think the core gameplay is just a lot of fun to mess around with. I like being able to beat things up with my favorite video game characters and their variety of flashy and fan-servicey movesets. I bring this up in particular because while Smash Bros always shines in the multiplayer department, Smash Bros for 3DS also allows me to bring that base enjoyment on the go with some of the best set of single-player content this series has to offer. In addition to your typical classic mode where you end up battling Master Hand and this horrifying abomination, there's also the new Trophy Rush where you can challenge yourself to not accidentally blow yourself up while seeking a new high score. And while I'll always pine for a new adventure mode and event matches that weren't tacked on, Smash Bros 3DS picked up the slack with something debatably even more entertaining. Smash Run. The mere concept of this mode is appealing to me because I love the city trial mode from Kirby Air Ride where you collected power-ups to get stronger for a final racing event. Now imagine that base framework with the power high that Smash Bros can enable you. 1000 attack bonus? Ethan! I'd smash Beauty Glover skulls! Since I enjoy collecting things in games, big surprise if you saw part 1 of the top 50, the whole experience of coming across rare stat boosts and then using these boosts to travel easier and clobber famous Nintendo foes along the way is one of my favorite ways to pass time on a bus ride. So if this game gets a Switch port, which it probably will if they are developing a sequel, please bring this mode back.